Good afternoon, everyone. I think, yeah. So I am a Mahesh Gupta, heading supply chain with the DS Group. I am having a 19 years of experience in supply chain domain itself. I started uh, with the warehousing experience in the 2006, and then after moved to supply chain domain of planning, forecasting, supply planning, all those. And now I am heading the end-to-end supply chain. I especially worked in the FMCG companies. HUL I started with a career, then Hindustan Coca-Cola, and now I'm working with the DS Group. And coming on the point that what ESG, uh, uh, if I say fantastically, we always talk about it ESG in the boardrooms. When we comes on the practical, sometimes we always face a challenge. But I say that network optimization, it really helped us to implement ESG initiative. There was a two initiatives was there. One was network optimization. Second was the EV vehicle introduction in the system. When I talk about the network, it actually directly relate to travel lace. We need to plan our all supplies that our FG product should travel as much as low, so that fuel efficiency that you already talked about fuel. So we wanted to burn fuel less, then also wanted to move the product as much as short. So we have opened a few factories in a few geographical areas, so that our product can be immediately sent to market. And also second was the EV introduction into the secondary distribution especially. When I talk about the secondary distribution, which is completely for our product, the product circulation into small markets, which is catering around 50 kilometers territory.
So Mahesh, it is EV and the network optimization which you intend to say over here that they made the big changes. Now coming to Manoj, we can have it short so that we can keep the discussion within that time frame.
Good day, everyone. My name is Manoj. I am Chief Supply Chain Officer for Amber Enterprises. Amber is a 1.2 billion group company. And I would say we are a supply partner or sustainability partner for our customers and for our suppliers as well. Having 30 years of experience in different organizations, which includes the OEMs like LG, Schneider Electric, and also now working with a tier 1 manufacturing company called Amber Enterprises. I would say the topmost priority for us as a supply chain partner for our customer is how do we reduce supply chain footprint of our customers, and in order to do that, how do we reduce our supply chain footprint. So what we have done in our case is that we have, being the India's #1 manufacturing company for HVAC, we have customers where we are putting specific facilities for them in order to reduce the surface area of their supply chain, and we are partnering with them in enhancing their supply chain drive. So that is one thing which I will say that if I look back in terms of Schneider, where we partnered with our business partners to drive the sustainability of their footprint in terms of what emissions they are having and how they are contributing to the bigger objective of the Schneider. So I will put these 2 points.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ankur. Hi everyone, this side Aman Agarwal. Good noon. I am overall having 17 years of experience in supply chain finance, currently working as a deputy director in Pepsico and looking after EMEA supply chain finance. Prior to this, I was working for Moderator International for around 8 years, and prior to that in a couple of steel manufacturing companies in North India. From ESG perspective, I would say for many years, ESG lived into reports only, be it spreadsheets or in presentations. But it really became a change when ESG moved upstream from how we are designing the supply chain finance, rather how we are explaining the supply chain finance. I would say the biggest change happened how we select the suppliers and how we select the locations. Previously, how we used to select the suppliers, we used to see who is the lowest cost provider, right, versus the nearest location. But now we are more looking into who will be more viable in next 5 to 10 years, who will be sharing the accountability as well along with the prices. So I would say the change is not more technical but more philosophical. Yeah.
Of course, then you have gone for the correct supplier selection who can help you in ESG frameworks.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Raj.
Good afternoon. I'm Raj Mishra. I'm a Chief Procurement Officer for the Jindal Strategic Ventures, which is a strategic arm of Jindal Stainless. Prior to this, I have worked with automotive, Hero MotoCorp, an OEM Tier 1. So I have a 20 plus years experience in automotive majorly. Now looking after Jindal Defense, Aerospace, and Jindal Advanced Material. This is a group company which comes under the Jindal Strategic Ventures. And we talk about ESG. See, that's good that we are talking, and I remember we are talking about ESG from last 5-7 years in seminars, in boardrooms, and that ESG should be implemented. There is a team, there is a group of people in each and every company, in every plants, that they are working on ESG. But what I think ESG more is required to be data, only the data which is a particular team is doing this and projecting for the complete business. It should be the part of the business strategy. It should be part of the business team who should be responsible and who can create value to the ESG. Only giving the buzzword that ESG, and what question arises today, if we select any supplier who is ESG compliant, then definitely is not going to be the cost effective. Are we ready for implement that? Are we ready that we are going to give additional advantage for that supplier base and the product which is ESG compliance? So that is more important. We'll be deliberating on that, what I think.
Raj, continuing with the same thought which you have just said, you come from an industry which is more capital intensive and more energy intensive. Now, how do you ensure that ESG initiatives which you mentioned, they move beyond the compliance checklist from the boardrooms and actually become a source of competitive advantage in the procurement and in the supply chain management?
See, compliance majorly focus on the reporting, and when we talk about the advantage, it is more of the value addition. So for that, generally what happens that we need to find out the ways that where the ESG is a part of the what you say that our business strategy. See, we need to find out 5-10 issues or 5-10 points where the ESG will become the part of the business strategy. Like what type of revenue growth we are going to get, what the risk is involved, how we are going to attract customer base, how we are going to attract supplier base, where the ESG will be the giving the value, right? Like if we take example, if ESG remains as a, suppose it's a data reporting. If we don't come data into the operational thing, like if some data says that my CO2 emission level is at this level, my energy consumption is that level. If we start discussing on that and keep track on that, how much at what time, what data was, and there is a target given to the complete business team, how it is going to improve. Like energy consumption was last year this, what measure was taken, after that it has been reduced. Till the time that is not achieved, it will not give the value more towards the business. That's what I think so.
Going along with that, basically, when you think that this needs to come out of the reports and become part of the discussion or in the boardrooms, the first thing usually the investors or the company owners think about is the ROI. So, since Aman, you come from a financial background, so my question is, how do you balance this cost of green initiatives, what I may call, with long-term ROI, and what makes ESG investments financially credible to the company?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I think we have to balance the green cost and the ROI from the long-term capex perspective. We have to consider, let's say, ESG as a long-term capex. I mean, investments in, I would say, packaging or water or agriculture from PepsiCo perspective are funded not because they look good on the report, but they really help us in stabilizing long-term operations, reduce the volatility. How it can help the company's growth in longer way? I mean, I would say first one is to reduce the structural risk. Let's say regenerative agriculture, because in PepsiCo potato is a big item we were discussing
Yes.
earlier, right?
Yeah.
So regenerative agriculture really help us in reducing the risk of soil degradation, farmer attrition, right? Our water stewardship really help us in ensuring operation in water stressed regions like Middle East African countries, and our renewable energy really help us in ensuring the inflation or volatility in higher energy prices. Secondly, it also help us from the unit cost economics. In initial year, maybe let's say for renewable energy again, it may be costly in the initial year. You may not have the ROI, but this thing really outperform the asset over their entire life cycle, right? Asset life cycle. So our energy prices may be, over a period of time, our renewable energy really help us in stabilizing the energy prices. And third one, I would say it really help in unlocking the growth, because you really have a brand trust by your ESG ratings in the price sensitive market, because FMCG really cutthroat competition day in day out with all the competitive companies. Customer nowadays really focusing towards the companies who are ESG linked, or they are more focusing on the ESG linked suppliers and the retailers. And third, I would say if you got good ESG ratings, it also help in accessing the sustainability linked financing as well. So your lenders will be more happy. They will be financing in better rates. So better ratings will lead to better terms. That's what I would say. So to conclude this, I would say we really have to look into the ESG from the complete life cycle perspective, not as a immediate ROI. Yeah. Thanks.
So we have to look for the long-term investments and make it a investable strategy to avail the benefits of the ESG. Mahesh, you initially discussed about the EVs and route optimization. So how can the ESG move out of the boardroom, and coming specifically to the Indian context, what sustainability interventions, whether you say EVs, route optimization, or packaging reductions, are viable, which can be initially implemented rather than keeping it limited to the ESG metrics?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ankur. When we talk about ESG, every company has a target right now, but we need to have some sustainability target in the system. When I talk about the logistics, which is outward, especially outward, EV has become a buzzword for nowadays. Everyone is talking about EV, but EV has a challenge right now. EV can be used for the secondary distribution only, because there is a specific issue with the EVs that we don't have a charging stations. We don't have a capacity of those EVs to run around 250 kilometers or above the 250 kilometers. So there is a challenge to implement this ESG part into the supply chain outward. So what I think over here, so we need to do importantly that micro clustering. Micro clustering is important to implement this EV, and it also improves the network optimization. That when I talk about India, India is a geographical completely wide. And when I talk about NCR especially, where every day you have some issue related to pollution, related to something, organizations is having some events over here, and especially for the no entry zones are there. So where we need to do the micro clustering now. So especially we have divided Delhi into especially 6 parts now, where we have a dark stores, where we have a small warehouses there, so that our EV can go around 25 kilometers and can come down to immediately and serve the customer, especially in a small loads. So product here challenge comes to the demand forecasting also. you have a demand and supply, especially should be in a way so that demand forecasting has to be accurate. When we talk about accuracy, forecast accuracy in FMCG, we know that 75% is a higher side. We always talk about that achieving 75% is also nowadays has become a challenge now. So when we talk about accuracy, so we ask, especially our organization team of sales and especially marketing teams, that we need to do a accurate forecasting so that this micro clustering can help to implement our ESG initiative on the practically on the platform, so that we can get some outcome from there. So if I talk about the second part is the network. In India, we used to have 4 zones initially. We used to say north, east, west, and south. But now we need to divide it north 1, north 2, north 3. And especially we need to set up some, especially factories near to market, so that our product should travel less nowadays. And especially it will also improve the cost. Because whenever we talk about the ESG challenges, we talk about boardroom that ESG has to be implemented. We should have a matrix of ESG. But as a supply chain guy, I also have a pressure of cost. Every year we need to have a issue of 10% cost efficiency, 5% cost efficiency, and also we need to implement ESG. So contradiction into cost saving, contradiction against the ESG implementation. So cost has to be there, efficient cost, and ESG target has to be achieved. So about me, we have done two things. Especially one was the network optimization. Second was the EV implementation into micro clustering, especially in Delhi, in Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Indore.
What Mahesh you have brought out, that is actually a very good point, that we should have the micro clusters, and I think a lot of these e-commerce companies are going for the e-bikes. Now there are mining industries which are coming up for the dumpers with e-dumpers to be operated within the mining area. I had an interesting discussion with one of the officers from DMRC. So he was saying that for the local movements or the micro clusters, we will be having the small companies various companies are coming with smaller vehicles, commercial vehicles, which are e-vehicles. And for the longer routes, what we can plan is having the metros and the RRTS, which is coming up, which will form the backbone for the movement of the goods during the lean period when metros are not used much. They can be utilized for the luggage, for carriage of these commercial goods. And beyond that, it will be the smaller EV vehicles. So that is a good concept which can easily come up with in the metros.
I want to add one more thing, that the technology intervention, especially you talk about the GPS. So actually nowadays TMS is helping us to route optimization is important, where we need to know the traffic red lights, where our vehicle start and off, obviously emissions goes high. So we need to optimize route accordingly, that there should not be any U-turn in the route. There should be a straight route for the vehicles, so that emission can go down. And the second initiative was that in our supply chain was to introduce the railway. So we have started the rail movement now. Around 19% of our stocks are going by the rail now. So it is also reduce the emissions indirectly. Yeah.
Coming to Manoj, you have got a very deep tier 2, tier 3 supplier network. So my question is, how do you engage your suppliers for achieving the sustainability? And how can you make the ESG viable for the smaller suppliers?
Thank you, Ankur. Again, a great question. Let me take it a 2-step. So when I was with Schneider Electric, what we did a very good project called Top 1000 Suppliers, how we are reducing the carbon footprint for them. The basic purpose that if any organization want to achieve their ESG goals, 80% or 70% of their material is coming from the supply chain, which is tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And we need to have mapping of those supply chain, right? So what we did, we took our top 1,000 suppliers, did a science-based target setting for them. What is the base analysis, and then what we will be improving. And then in that process, what we did is, because Schneider was also a industry, optimization or industry automation company, right? We worked with them to identify where we have the energy losses. And then we worked together, not only, improving that, but also providing solution. So it was a win-win scenario for both. When I come to Amber, right, what we are doing now, we are helping our brands to achieve their ESG goals. In this process, we are partnering them not only on the processes, but on the design to ensure that we have optimization from scope 1 to scope 3 for them. And as we all know, that scope 3 is the major contributor over the overall life cycle of the product. So how do we as a OEM and ODM company work in reducing the energy consumption for the overall life cycle of the product? And third, on the upstream supply chain for me, right? So we worked with our suppliers to enhance their capability, how they can reduce their losses, how they can reduce their energy consumption. So I would say it is always a 360-degree view from customer to you as an entity and your supplier, and everything will not have, the same initiative. You need to identify the current stage and then work on a specific project on how to improve the efficiency of those supply partners in the chain, and then work on them on how to improve. And most importantly, it's important to map the progress to make sure that we have visibility of the effort, and hence we are putting the right resources and right money on where we can get the maximum returns. Thank you.
Manoj, actually, that is a very great initiative, especially for the scope 3 emissions. Because wherever I have heard, I have seen most of the OEMs, most of the big companies, they try to avoid that particular question of the scope 3, because that contributes to 60 to 70% of their emissions. And they don't have, or I would say, they have very limited control over those things. So usually they are avoiding that. But of course, your company has taken the initiatives. That is very great. So now let's move from the strategic decisions to more toward the technologies. And since you have been in the Schneider Electric and now again you are in Amber, so what digital tools are you basically employing which is helping the organization to measure and reduce these carbon emissions in the supply chain? And where do you still feel that there are gaps which we need to cover?
Thank you. I think just to continue on that, as I said, the different organization and different scale status of their maturity will use different tools, right? In case of Schneider, we created an end-to-end platform which was developed to map all the sustainability related initiative across the supply chain. So we understand what is year-on-year improvement. We come back to Amber. We have created the digital control towers, because Amber is depth of manufacturing. Amber is supply chain. So what we do is that in each of our operations, we have digital control towers which help us in improving the efficiency of the resources. As we said, that anything which is captured can be evaluated, and anything can be evaluated, can be improved. In the earlier panel discussion, it was also discussed that it's basically not only deploying the tool, but also how do you make sure that the people are using these tools consistently, are also helping in improving the efficiency of these tools, but also efficiency of the operations. So we are using different tools on different levels as you asked.
Okay.
Thank you.
Aman, Now, even the investors ask for the data transparency, and with the BRSR reports, the companies have to file the details. So, how does supply chain transparency strengthen the brand trust and the investor confidence? And where do you see the biggest value, especially from the financial angle?
Thanks for asking this. I mean, as a finance, definitely we always have that, tough discussions at the time of busting that where should we spend on, sustainability, which initiative to prioritize, how we can find a balance between ESG initiatives, other OPEX investments, and the CAPEX investments. So I'll come on this topic later. I agree that supply chain transparency really strengthens the brand trust because it turns the ESG from promise into proof, right? Nowadays, customer or our consumers are not really trusting the claims, but they need the traceability. So, and reporting is not really just sharing the metrics, it's more like sharing the operational visibility that where we spend, where we stand from the ESG perspective. So I'll give a couple of examples. One is again regenerative agriculture. So nowadays one can really look into how the crops are being grown, be it potato or oats or corn. We really track the impact on the environment of by our, let's say, water initiative or packaging initiative, because we have changed the plastic bottles in Europe by 60 to 70% already by recyclable PET bottles, right? And where finance is value, I'll cover in 3 points. One is risk pricing. So if finance have a greater visibility of the ESG initiatives and the impact of ESG initiative, it really help us in better forecasting and planning. We can plan our risk for regulatory, social risk in a better way. Second, the cost of capital, because definitely as a finance, we have to decide from where we have to lend some more money and all. So if we got a good ESG metric, that really get us good deal from the market. And third is very close to our heart, is the capital allocation, as I started my conversation from that. If we have a transparency, we can see which initiative is going well, which initiative is paying us off, so that we can double down there. So to conclude, I would say supply chain transparency indeed really build trust with customer and investors, but it truly bring the clarity to the finance.
Sure, thank you. The worst thing today the organizers have done is they have kept the timer over here. It's like a time bomb ticking on me. We are running short. It's already, we are left with only 4 or 5 minutes. So, quick answer from Mahesh. What practical steps are your companies taking to close the loop of this circular economy or circular supply chain? And which is the most difficult part to execute in that portion?
So again, I thank you to you. This is a most difficult task that we are doing right now. That especially when I started my discussion also, that was EV introduction and network optimization. And if I talk about both initiatives are completely dependent on the demand forecasting. So our organization has implemented recently demand planning tool, where statistical demand can be generated on the basis of past data trend. And that statistical demand tool is helping us to actually reach at the accuracy of the forecast. So now we are asking with our ASMs, RSMs, GM and all, that you also put your numbers on your intellectual, what you want to sell in the market. And that we are comparing with the statistical forecast, so that any trade fair is coming into their territory. Like example of Prayagraj Kumbh. So it should be aware by them, so that statistical forecast and practice forecast from the ASM RSM can be integrated with the statistical. So accuracy will go up. Our initiatives of ESG will be in line with that. So we are integrating system from end-to-end supply chain, from the demand to supply to a transparency of all shipments by the TMS, that transport management system, where we are doing route optimization, route scheduling, and also that information is going to vendor management system. That VMS integrated with the demand planning tool and integrated with the TMS. That technology investment is helping us to implement all these ESG targets.
So along with this, I would say we should always focus upon the 3 Rs of the ESG: reuse, recycle, and reduce, reuse, and recycle. So Raj, again, what are the latest innovations which have come up in your industry which you feel have brought the most impactful changes towards the ESG, and which of these can be actually scaled to the higher levels? Because keeping them within the industry or within your factory does not actually help much. So, what are the latest innovations which you feel are the most impactful?
Yeah, I'll build up what Mahesh was telling, that being in supply chain function, we always have a pressure that cost should reduce and ESG must be implemented, right? That's a way. I remember in one of my assignment, we got the same type of project, that where the cost reduction should happen in the logistics area, and ESG data should be captured. So what we did, there is only one thing where this both can happen, right? From movement of raw material from trucks to rail. If we go in that way, we are definitely reduced. We captured that there was a 10 to 20% reduction in the freight, and 10 to 20% reduction in the carbon footprint also. So that was the area where we worked, and we found that we got a very good result. That's the one thing. And the second is the last mile delivery, what we are discussing. See, in today's scenario, the scenario is changing every year. Now, if you see the EV structure, now the government is pushing very high. The charging structure, charging space, stations are built up very fastly. So the last mile delivery is very high, very much popular. That's already maturing day by day. But the long mile, the long mile delivery, what is going to happen? That is in next 1 or 2 years, we'll see there is a huge changes, because the charging structure is increasing, charging infrastructure is taking a very good pace now. Big enterprises are coming into this space. All automobile companies are focusing on that. That is going to give a very good impact. The second one is the route optimization, because we are using the AI to optimize the route. That is a very important part of the playing the role in the ESG implementation, because the scalability is very high. If we go with the any software that can be upgraded within a very small span, we can get the accuracy of that. What somebody was mentioning, that we optimize and then we try to find out there is no U-turn and there is no red light. We cannot find the signal. That's accuracy is increasing to the level of 2 to 3 meters now. So that scalability has high. So wherever we see in such type of project, the scalability plays a very much important. So if you summarize, if you go by the electrification of the vehicle, scalability is very high. If we go with the implementation of software-based route optimization, scalability is very high. And if we go with the optimization of loads from trucks to railways, scalability is very high. Other side, if we go with the hydrogen fuel we using in the ship, and that's a moderate, it's a long-term things, which will still take another 5 to 7 years, so that we can have that ESG benefit of that. That's how.
Now they are even planning for the nuclear-based
Yeah.
ships also. Actually, we can always speak about having the good control towers, good dashboards, but till the time the innovations actually impact the ground, especially in the supply chain management, it is not going to decipher something on your screens. So it has to come on the ground first, and then it will be reflected on your dashboards. So my time is up, so we will open the house for the questions. Please feel to ask something, sir.
My name is Harinder. Actually, I'm an entrepreneur, and we are giving second life to the batteries in collaboration with Israel. So in the last 8 years, what I have seen, And I was also part of the corporate world for 23 years also, so I was having experience of both the sides of the table. Now the gap what I have seen in the Indian industry, that any new venture, any new startup having good cost saving solutions, proven solutions are available in the market, somehow to the companies they are not able to approach to the right people. There are many hiccups are there in every organization, right? So my question is that being a SCM, your target is also there to reduce the cost also, right? So how do we reduce that gap by inculcating that new ventures or new solutions which will come directly without any failure or any routing of that one? Do you have any kind of that slot there where anybody can approach in that slot and have some circle or kind of things like that one?
Before I open this question to my panelist, I would recommend that you come to more of these events so that you can directly network with the SCM people who can assist you in directly connecting. So I will open the question for the panelist in case how can the new ventures directly connect with the companies where they can assist in the reduction of emissions or in the implementation of the ESG measures?
Yeah, I think no specific answer, but each organizations will do it differently. So let us say today there are networking, there are platforms where you have accessibility to the leadership of different organizations. What happen is that normally, like me as a supply chain leader, we will have certain challenges in hand, which we see, which we need to work, which we need to address. Now, what do we do at that time? We try to find out and we give it a try, we evaluate and move forward. But many times what happens, you also start getting a lot of inputs, which may not be your priority. And at that time, you may not be addressing them to go in one level depth of that, but they always remain somewhere in the backup. And as and when your priority get resolved on the first hand, you go on the second hand, you approach that. So I think these platforms where you are accessing the decision makers and leadership, sharing your platforms, that goes somewhere in the data bank. And as and when there is a need to solve that problem, people connect and go. The most of the things what happen is that the impatience on the supplier side, because I have been on that side as well, where you say, I have given a solution, I know it is going to create value for this organization, but why these guys are not responding to that? What is stopping that? I know it will improve, right? But as an organization on the other side, we may not be having those things at the first, second, third priority. And hence it may take some time. I don't know whether I have addressed your...
It is only the matter of, I'm asking is the matter of the slot where anybody can approach. Like for example, you have some website, right? So one slot will be there, anybody can click on that one and put their ideas or their own proposed solution to them, and you can just watch and you can call according to your requirement.
Good point. I think what you are saying is a good point, where you have those innovation ideas somewhere captured. And then see, I think that's a good point. Appreciate it.
Rather, I would say that it is one of the great point which has come up in this question answer, that we can have a system or the site where all the companies which are having the solutions for the ESG or even for the CSR, they can be made available and companies can connect that. It's a well taken point, sir. Any other questions, sir?
We'll take one.
So I hope both of you are not from the same company.
No, we are
Of
not
course.
from. Actually, we are. I'm from the consultancy field. So
Okay.
just reflecting on the things that are already spoken about, EVs and route optimization, etc. And then of course, we already speak about the renewable energy sources also, like solar, wind energy. Nuclear energy is also there, but of course we have, that is, far-fetched and requires a lot of infrastructure. So where do you think the renewable source of energy would, fit in, and what are the different sort of challenges that would be appearing? Like we speak about hydrogen being the fuel of the future, but then going from the operational perspective, where do you think is the real challenge now, and how soon we can be able to, achieve those?
Challenges he talks of
Yes.
in renewable sector.
Yeah.
See, in using renewable energy challenges, I don't think now it is that much challenge, because if you see most of the manufacturing units are using this solar energy for the most of the high power consumption area is now solar. That's but still there are availability issue there is there, but it is increasing. That's what I have seen in every manufacturing units. That's not a challenge now.
So when you say availability, you mean the availability of the solar panels
Solar
and
panels, because
infrastructure? then?
dependency on the particular country is more than availability on the Indian manufacturer. Now it is increased because now big business houses are coming into this manufacturing of this panels. That is going to be addressed very soon.
Because we understand that the renewable energy sources, they have intermittency, that is, they may not be available throughout the day because of the weather conditions and the climatic condition. So that is the basis of this question. So how reliable can a solar power energy can be, and how you would like to address the challenges along with that? I mean,
So that is
For this, especially for the solar power, now they are coming up with something called battery hubs, wherein you can store the energy during the daytime or during the lean hours, and in the night, the same energy can be provided to the grid. I think Adani has established a big one somewhere in Gujarat and extending towards Rajasthan now. So that sort of technology is coming, and in future, we are going to see that renewable energy is also being available during the night, especially the solar energy. I think
the cost would be, I think, the
आई सर आई एम
challenge
वेरी
of-
सॉरी, आई हैव टू इंटरजेक्ट हियर. ये एक अलग डिबेट
Sir.
हम आप ऑफलाइन कर सकते हो. I have to be very truthful to all the speakers here.
after 15 minutes, we are having the sumptuous lunch laid outside, so we can discuss over there. I would conclude by saying that till the time ESG remains in the reports, it will remain peripheral. So it has to be brought down in the sourcing decisions, in the capital allocation, technological investments, so that it becomes a operational reality. So what I take out from this particular panel discussion is that it is not about choosing the profit or the planet, but it is recognizing that without the resilience, neither of this will survive. Thank you. Thank you for the panelists, and thank you for being a good audience. Thank you.